in this motion. Madam Chair, the motion was drafted and I can understand the gist of it as it respects it is customary in previous governments to last minute sign off stuff and that can cause the country severe financial consequences for the country. But Madam Chair, not all ministers do that. And I will go back to the motion because it is pertaining to the minister that I was given, Mr. Ernest Sams. You have here the granting of bus and taxi permits. They are absolutely in this administration, this cabinet that just got no, the motion of no confidence that are leaving. No taxi or bus permits were given out. And I said it because too often in the past that was customary, so that was not done. So I take offense to this based on the fact that those before used to do that, not here. Because there needs to be a cleanup. Let's clarify it because that good man's name is going down the drain and I refuse that. Secondly, we talk about the expansion of the medical center. And I'm trying to understand whether if the process started, should it stop? Isn't it for the country? I'm not sure about that. The awarding of contracts for garbage collection and extension. I always knew from even before there's always a problem with this whole garbage contract thing, and I'm not in the garbage business. But mind you me, I want the public to pay attention when the time comes, who is getting those garbage contracts now. Pay attention. And that's not my field. I'm just making that clear. We talk about the development of the transfer process of land on divorced property. Pay attention. Pay attention. Madam Chair, I also see here that other entities, I know that the minister in charge of who was in charge, or whether you want to call it a technicality, Tayat, Mr. Onisams, I know under his leadership, the continuation of the formation of BIP was done. Will that be retracted? BIP, Bureau Intellectual Property, a deadline was done for October 10th, where Curacao gave St. Martin a deadline to take over the task. So they had to appoint a director. Will that be retracted? Because that will cause a national crisis. Madam Chair, I heard we have a category 2 at the airport. A certain decision was taken. Will that be retracted? Because then we will go to a category 3. Not all ministers are the same. And I don't know what's in here, what they know that I don't know, but let me take this opportunity to stand up for a man with integrity, Mr. Ernest Sams, because to put him as a collective or whatever transpired, I have no clue. I think it is time that somebody stand up for what is right. No, perhaps in the past, the custom was as soon as you go, give out taxi, give out bus permits, because that's why we have a problem right now, but not this minister. So I vote against this because it brings him in that.
I give God glory again, as this meeting is very much required. Madam Chair, I have a couple questions. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions during the motivation. Is it when you are in violation of something, typically you're doing something against, in this case, the Constitution, which makes it illegal? If I am wrong, then, or if I'm right, then how come the Prime Minister is still in what I will term as negotiations with the governor? If what he is doing is so against the Constitution, it is so wrong and it is so illegal, how come the national police or whoever didn't approach him yet and basically, stop it? Pardon my ignorance for that which I really do not understand. I am not going to profess to try to know everything, but this is also the sentiments of people that I speak to. People ask me questions that I don't understand. Another thing, just as I said a little earlier, we are arguing points of actions that I was never a minister, but things that I have seen happen in the past. We are asking in a motion today for it not to happen. And I'm not saying whether it happened in the past or it's happening now makes it right. But what I'm going to ask through you to my colleagues here is, at some point, just for he who lives within us to be, this is so sad. And while becoming very emotional, I'm not going to shed tears, but I just wish that each of us, I'm asking through you to my colleagues to look back at he who lives within us and who is at stake and who is going to hurt, who is already hurting by our behavior. At what point are we going to get to that place where we truly are concerned about the people, and just as concerned as we are for a few guilders, that we remain that concerned for the millions of guilders, and not when it's convenient to us, we use it to our disadvantage. Again, yes, this is politics, and this is what politicians do. And if you can't stand the heat, maybe you need to be in the kitchen. But I have a strong feeling that I will learn it more. And I am not going to give up on this country, nor will I give up hope that my colleagues in here now and those to come, if I come back or when I come back, will take it to a place where, you know, I spoke to you personally, Madam Chair, and not to discuss out loud, that may I present a motion that we pray at least before these meetings. Because I truly believe that everybody in here have good for St. Martin at some point. But this right here it is sad. It is sad, and I'm not going to say it's embarrassing anymore, you know, because St. Martin is ours. And we have to do what we have to do. But I just would like to ask through you, Madam Chair, that my colleagues just go back to that place and remember who it is all about and who should get the glory, and forget about whatever else. Let's not condemn each other. Let's stop pulling each other down and find a way to truly give St. Martin the opportunity she deserves.
Anybody bingo?
Nobody bingo.
Vitamalt takes care of you. And now, check under the marked caps for a chance to win prizes. More detail on press.
Has anyone started working on Article 33.3? Does a motion supersede any article or in our Constitution? What is the correct procedure when one receives a vote of non-confidence? Were there any delay tactics concocted between the new majority and trying to retract the national decree? Madam Chair, these are questions that I would like to have answered by the Prime Minister. I would also want all the documentation before this meeting proceeds, and I would like to ask that we postpone this until I receive it today.
Madam Chair, I second the proposal by MP Cornelius De Weaver.
Thank you, MP Cornelius De Weaver, for your presentation. I wish to repeat what I indicated at the beginning of this meeting. The information was requested from the government, one. Two, the presence of the Prime Minister was requested for this meeting. The Prime Minister opted not to attend this meeting. The Prime Minister opted not to submit the requested information. The other questions that you have, I would suggest, MP De Weaver, that you submit these in writing so that it can be forwarded to the government to be answered if they would so desire, because apparently the answering is now left up to the desires to do so or not of the government. Your point, a point you would like to make, MP De Weaver?
I would like to, again, repeat my call that my questions and the documentation requested be submitted to me today. If not, we will postpone this meeting until a further date.
Thank you for your observations again, MP De Weaver. I have indicated what we have been facing in requesting this documentation for this meeting, and hence taken note of your verbal questions. I recommend that you do those in writing, and they will be forwarded to the government, and the meeting shall continue.
A point of order. I do not know of any previous questions posed. I know there was a meeting today that is supposed to be dealing with this agenda point. These are my questions, and I expect my answers and the information that I requested, which I am entitled to, and I think everybody in here is entitled to.
Madam Chair, point of order.
MP William Allen, you have a point of order.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that the request by the MP be put to a vote, particularly seeing what you have already outlined. The government was given ample opportunity to provide clarity on their intentions. It was suggested by the governor that the Prime Minister brings his case to Parliament. He has refused to. Parliament has invited the Prime Minister to provide information and to provide a copy of their draft resolution decree, and they have refused to. So, Madam Chair, I would suggest we put it to a vote to avoid any further discussion on this.
We have a
You can, Madam Chair, we
MP.
cannot put this to a vote if it's information I'm requesting. There's nothing to vote about.
What I shall put to a vote is your proposal to adjourn this meeting. That I shall put to a vote. And I ask if there is the desire that this be done by hoofdelijke stemming. We now go over to a vote on postponing this meeting at this point, and I ask you to give the Secretary General a minute.
Can I have a point of order, Madam
MP
Chair?
Franklin Myers, you wish to make a point of order.
Can you give me some clarification on Article 53 of the Constitution? Because when we get to the voting of the motions, we're going to have to address this. So I also propose that this meeting be postponed. Article 53 clearly states that no member of Parliament can vote on appointments that personally pertain to them. So can you give me some clarity on that? Because there are obviously members that are sitting in Parliament that will be appointed as ministers. Please ask, where does a motion supersede the law of the Constitution? And a lot of issues have been raised about what is right and what is not. The highest law of our country is the Constitution. Nothing supersedes the Constitution. So I would like to know how a motion, any sort of proposal can supersede or even attempt to change anything that is written in our Constitution. Well, then I could bring a motion to propose the death penalty. But it is not something that is carried out in our kingdom, in the Dutch kingdom. So I need a clearer elucidation on that. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Franklin Myers. And I think it's important that, again, for the public of St. Martin, the article raised in this context is Article 53 that forbids members of Parliament in voting on matters that pertain to them. I have not heard from any motion being read any reference to any member of Parliament.
Again, Madam Chair, their names are not mentioned in the article, but it's a public secret, for example, that MP William Marlin is going to be the next Prime Minister. You see? He's going to be the next Prime Minister. So again, all of this, I mean, and we could call a spade a spade. All of this is a charade in which we are trying to stalemate what Article 59 of our Constitution clearly states. While there may be some discrepancies in Article 33 and what the rules are, it clearly states in Article 59 that 3 months is allowed after the dissolution of Parliament and election must be held within that period. And this here is a charade to try and stop that. It's obvious today we can see the reasoning why, Madam Chair, because 2 parties have not complied with the electoral financials, and they will have to pay back a large sum of money, and they probably don't have it to pay it back. So all of these stalling tactics are being proposed. But it is clear in Article 33, Article 53, where it says you have to refrain from voting and debating in anything that concerns you. And this obviously concerns the formateur.
Members of Parliament, you know, I have again allowed a discussion that...
Point of order.
Just one moment, MP De Weaver. I have the floor, and I will continue to make my point as chairperson of this Parliament. I have sort of allowed a discussion to take place on this matter, but I think we're taking it a little too far. Where a point of order is concerned, MP William Marlin, I will give you, I hope it's a point of order that you wish to make. You did request the floor. MP William Marlin, please make your point of order.
Yeah, Madam Chair, because my name was called and that it's a public secret that I will be the next Prime Minister, Madam Chair, the motions before us have absolutely nothing to do with who will be, who don't want to be, and who can't be Prime Minister. The motion is addressing the behavior of a government that is totally violating the Constitution. The member that spoke before me spoke about the Constitution being the highest organ of our country, and we have a group of ministers who are grossly violating that. This is what the motion is addressing. The motion is not addressing the formation of a government, who is formateur, and who will be or not be the Prime Minister of St. Martin.
Thank you, MP William Marlin. I shall close off the points of notice with...
Point of order, Madam Chair.
MP Cornelius De Weaver,
Article 46 clearly states that opposition for suspension of the deliberation has to be supported by at least 2 members. That was done, Madam Chair. So I would really hope if we can stick to our rules of order, because again, this is another clear case of this majority not sticking to the rules of order. If we're not going to abide by this, and we're not going to abide by the Constitution, then you know what? Why are we wasting our time?
As I started to say before you interrupted my point, Article 53, as raised by MP Franklin Myers, the members of Parliament shall refrain from voting on issues or appointments, including suspensions and dismissals, that personally affect them, their spouses, and their relations by blood or marriage, up to and including the 2nd degree, or in which they are involved as proxies. I have determined that there is no such issue in the motions as presented, so Article 53 is not applicable. Article 46 indeed speaks of a proposal to suspend a meeting. I have asked if the desire is to put the proposal to a vote, and I got the indication that that should take place. We're going over to vote on the proposal to suspend this meeting, yes or no. I asked for a minute to prepare for the voting.
There was no counter proposal. There was no counter proposal. You cannot put this to a vote, Madam Chair.
It's true.
If we're going to make a mockery of our rules of order, 46 does not say anything about putting it to a vote. I proposed it, it was seconded and third, and as a matter of fact, no counter proposal came. So you cannot put it to a vote, Madam Chair. Let's stick to the rules of order if you want to do things the right way.
We're going over.
Madam Chair, just permit me, for clarity's sake,
MP William Marlin.
when the proposal was made, Madam Chair, I stood up and I said that we should not go down that road. We should put it to a vote. The other members who agreed, and that's why we are.
Let's check the records, just to be safe. Let's check the records.
The voting will start at number 12 on the list, and we start with MP Franklin Myers.
Point of order, I've asked for the records to be checked because that was not said. If you're going to stand up in here and blatantly lie, then let's just check the records and make sure. It's a point of order. Read your rules of order.
MP Franklin Myers, could you, members of parliament,
Point of order, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
MP Leona Marlin.
Madam Chair, I suggest that we take a break, go through what exactly needs to transpire, and if need be to proceed, you proceed. But right now, there's too much ambiguity, and reading what the rules of order saying, I suggest pause for a proper cause, because this is just too much confusion and we look like a mockery.
Afford what you crave, life just gets so good. KFC, so good for everyone.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Anybody bingo? Nobody bingo.
Need a loan that's quick and easy. Island Finance. Up to 50,000 I think it is good to do, it's for sure good to know your HIV status. It's depending fully on your sexual activity, whether you should do an HIV test regularly or whether you just do it once if you're in a very stable, trusting relationship where both partners are HIV negative, tested and trust each other and nobody's fooling around. If you're not in a stable relationship and you're not using condoms, which is your best protection all the time, consistently 100%, then you are at risk of sexually transmitted infections, and testing for HIV regularly makes sense, every 6 months, every year, something like that, because HIV is a very well treatable, it's not curable, so once you have it, you'll have it the rest of your life. But it's very well treatable in such a way that people living with HIV, who are diagnosed with HIV these days, with the medications that we have available on St. Martin as well, and SFA covers them fully, and some of the insurance companies cover them fully as well. You can basically live a normal lifespan, just the same lifespan as a person without HIV who's not infected, be it that HIV still will have certain effects on your body on the long run, so you can keep HIV under control, but there are other side effects of the medicines and HIV itself that eventually could still give you disease like diabetes or certain types of cancer, or weak brittle bone disease, osteoporosis, or kidney problems. So people who think like, oh, you got tablets these days to take care of your HIV, should think twice. Prevention, not becoming infected, is still number one. That's the best. Because having HIV, yes, we will keep you healthy with proper treatment, but that is treatment lifelong as it stands now. We don't have a cure yet. They're working on it, but it's going to take at least 10, 20 years if ever we will find a cure, but they're working on it.